What is up, fishing world? Trevor Wagner coming back at you again. In today's episode, we're talking spinnerbaits. That's right, it's becoming springtime. We're in that late winter, early spring pattern, and there's no better time than to bust out the good old spinnerbait. Now, the spinnerbait does work year-round, but sometimes in this time of the year, it really can produce some good bass. All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you some of my favorite spinnerbaits and my rod and reel setup as we get through. So first and foremost, when you're fishing a spinnerbait, don't be afraid to throw it in the junk. Some of the best bass that I've caught is when I'm throwing it up into the trees, into the bushes, and just burning it through there. Now, you could slow roll it. You can throw it out there and just burn it in. You can add some pops in there, which I really like to do if I'm throwing, especially into like some brush, around wood cover, or even some rock piles. When I throw it out there, what I like to do is I'll throw it out, count it down a little bit to where I kind of think I needed to get for depth, or if I'm using forward-facing sonar and I kind of see where they're positioned, I'll throw it out there, let it drop down to be just above where I think their heads are, then I'll start reeling it in. And as I'm reeling in, I'll add a couple pops. And those couple pops kind of flare out the blades a little bit, gives it a little bit of that skirt action, kind of triggers the bass sometimes to be like those non-committal bass. Well, sometimes once I do that, they'll be like, oh, I got to eat that. And then they'll hit it. So don't be afraid to add some pops to your spinnerbait as you're reeling it in. And I know some people like to throw it out there and they'll just slow roll it, which is fine. It gets bites too. But don't be afraid to experiment with your spinnerbaits. Don't be afraid to throw it out there, slow roll it sometimes, throw it out there, reeling it in at a moderate pace, pop it a couple times. And then sometimes, if those bass are fired up, you just fire it out there, they're there, and you just burn it. You just start there and you just start reeling real fast, give it a couple pops as you're going quick. You'll be surprised how many bass you could catch on a spinnerbait. Like I said, there's different retrieves that you could do to trigger those bass and get them in the boat. All right, so let's talk about my rod and reel setup, and then we'll get into the yummy spinnerbaits that I have that I'll show you guys here in just a second. All right, so my rod and reel that I use, you've seen me use some of it before. Kind of a Dobyns fanboy. I really do like the Dobyns. Like I said, we'll see what happens since they got bought out. Hopefully the quality stays. They really do support the veterans. Every Dobyns rods I bought, I have gotten a discount for. I just call them up, tell them I'm veteran, send in the proof, and then they give me a great discount. And their warranty, man, it's really, really good. So, all right, so what I have, this is the Dobyns Fury series. Again, this isn't bottom contact. This is more reactionary. So as I'm reeling, I'm not needing a lot of sensitivity, but the Dobyns Fury line gives me enough sensitivity for spinnerbaits, underspins, and stuff like that. So this is a Dobyns Fury 734C. And this bad boy is 7'3". It is a 1/4 ounce to 1 ounce heavy fast action for spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, Seacos, horny toads, jigs, small swim baits. This rod has been my favorite spinnerbait rod I have ever owned, and I am super, super happy. And I have this paired with the Corrado 200 reel, and man, when this is just sitting in my hand, this is just money. I love the Corrado series, especially this 200. I could really fire this out there, and I have no problem, if I hook up to the big girls, that I could get them into the boat. So as you can see, I'm about ready to go out. Notice the little red kicker blade right here in the willow style. So what I have here is I'm going to be going out fishing probably next weekend, and the water temperature is still a little cold, so I'm adding a little red, and the water is usually pretty stained where I am, so this will give them a little bit more drawing power, and I have that with a willow leaf as well. So that's what I'll be throwing next week, because I'm taking a spinnerbait with me. All right, so that's the rod and reel I use. Like I said, that Dobyns Fury line is a really, really good, strong line in that Dobyns side, and I really, really like it. All right, so let's jump right in. So one of my favorite spinnerbaits that's out there has got to be War Eagle, hence the hat, War Eagle. All right, so these two are two different War Eagles. This one's a little bit heavier. This one's a little bit lighter. As you can tell, look at the blade sizes are a little bit different. The head sizes are a little different. But I really do like the bullet head design that War Eagle has. They work really, really well. They're just really, really good spinnerbaits. So one of my number ones is that guy right there. Next, what I really also like is the Booyah Covert series. Now these came out, these are really good. I'm a huge chartreuse and white fan, especially where I fish. It seems to just produce. It's just something about that chartreuse and white in the lakes that I fish. They just do really, really well. So just something I like. Now, the next one I'm going to show you is by Strike King. Now the reason I like this guy right here, let me pull the skirt back so you can see, is it has a stinger hook. So if you're out there fishing a spinnerbait and you're getting short strike, they're coming up and they're just nipping at the back. They're hitting your minnow that you have on there or your paddle tail that you have on there, and they're just missing it and you're swinging and it's just pulling away from them. That's when I'll take out this Strike King. I have a few different ones that have that stinger hook on the back. And once you have that on there, you're going to get them 90% of the time now. Again, it just works. I don't always throw a stinger hook because again, that stinger hook tends to get caught up if I'm throwing it into brush, around wood and stuff like that. So I only throw that on there when I need to, when those bass are short striking and I just need to get in there because I don't like to lose spinnerbaits and I don't want that stinger hook to get caught anywhere. So Strike King has a really good line of those and they're super sticky sharp. So then I have the big boy. So this guy right here is a Hildebrand. This guy is 1 ounce. So if I need to get deep and I need to get deep fast and I'm fishing and I know there's some big girls hanging down there, I will pick this up, tie it on, and fire it out there. When I was in Lake Amistad last year, I caught a couple bass on that big giant spinnerbait. And actually they weren't even very big, but it worked. I was able to get it down a little deeper and burn it through and get some of those bigger bass. So again, don't be afraid to use those 1 ounce spinnerbaits when you need to. Now, let me show you why I love spinnerbaits. Now, I can't tell you what brand this is because I really can't remember, but this guy right here, again, chartreuse blade, as you can see, it is pretty beat up, and a silver blade up top. And again, the chartreuse in white. This spinnerbait right here caught me my PB. So a couple years ago, I was fishing a local lake, throwing this guy around some brush piles, you know, going in there, got hit, set the hook, and was like, oh man, I think I just set it in a log. Then I felt a couple head shakes. It was like, nope, that's not a log. So started fighting it in, got it in the boat, and I boated me a 7.5 pound bass. That is my PB. I know I live in Texas, and you guys are like, man, you should be catching those double digits. Yeah, not where I fish, but hopefully I could get down to some of those places that have those double digit basses and hopefully hook up into one of those double digit bass. But that guy right there did me the trick, caught me a 7.5 pound bass, boated it. I was super stoked, super excited. My friend Scott Howard was out there with me and we were fishing together, and I think he was just as happy as I was to catch that. He got to take a couple pics of me in there holding that bass with that spinnerbait, and it was just awesome. So again, guys, those are the spinnerbaits I really like. Those War Eagles, those Booyah Coverts. Again, I have some of those Hildebrand bigger ones, and then those Strike Kings. I have a bunch of those with that stinger hook on the back to help me out. That's what I like to throw. That's the rod and reel I like to use. That Dobbins Fury with that Corrado 200 just works for me. But again, like I've said before in other videos, you got to find what works for you. You have to find that brand of spinnerbaits that you just have that confidence in. Use them, throw them, vary your retrieves, and you can put some more bass in the boat with your spinnerbaits this spring and this year as you go along. All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you can, get out and catch some bass. All right, talk to you guys later.